Hey everybody, Good Guy Glenn here, and today I want to talk about my orientation and going out with my trainer with Western Express. So, a little background, I was in CDL school, and I was all set to go to Warner, and a week before I tested and got my license, I got into a fender bender in my Jeep. No tickets were issued, whatever, but Warner didn't want anything to do with me after that, and they told me to beat it. So quite hastily, I went over to Western Express. In hindsight, I could have went other places, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought that accident was bad news, and it was going to cause me bigger problems, and it ended up causing me. So I came to Western Express, but whatever. That's here nor there. So I called the recruiter for Western Express, and from the get-go, things were a little shaky. For instance, the recruiter kept making me fill out the paperwork over and over again. That was a little odd. The recruiter kept sending me text messages like he didn't know who I was after speaking with him for a week or so. And, going over things, then he would introduce himself again. Okay, is what it is, right? No big deal. My date kept getting moved. Initially, I was supposed to go to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is near my house. But they moved me to Richmond, Virginia, because of whatever reason. So I ended up doing orientation in Richmond, Virginia. They put me on a bus. Wasn't a Greyhound. It was a Bolt bus and then some no-name Chinese company bus that I transferred to when I got to Washington, D.C. And they dropped me in an alley somewhere in Richmond. And I called for the shuttle. And the shuttle driver, Lorenzo, came and picked me up. And that was it. I got brought to the Days Inn in Midlothian. I can't really say. It's part of Richmond, Midlothian. This Days Inn is not even a one-star hotel. It's quite honestly the most disgusting place I've ever seen. The beds are filthy. They're not even changed. They only do housekeeping once a week. So you might show up and you might sleep in a bed that's been slept in already, and it's gross. So I showed up the first night. I thought I had a roommate because there was stuff there. Nobody showed up. So, okay, first night I slept on my own. The next day I go to orientation. They tell you to be at the shuttle for orientation at 6:10 or something, and that shuttle doesn't show up till 7 o'clock. So you wait in the freezing cold for nothing. You get on the shuttle, you get brought to the terminal in Richmond. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to hand in documents. These documents are your DOT physical form, your copy of your license, your DD-214 if you're military, if you paid for school, all your school documents, your transcripts from school, all that kind of stuff. You hand that in. Then they give you breakfast. Now, the breakfast there, breakfast in prison is better than breakfast there. We'll just put it at that. I'll just leave it at that. So, next things you got to do is you got to do your DOT physical. Now, I had done my DOT physical already, but I didn't have the long form, which I don't know what that is, and I still don't know what that is, because even after they gave me another DOT physical, they just gave me the card and not the long form. I still don't have a long form, don't know what it is. Then you have to take a urinalysis for a drug test. And I'm going to stop here for a minute, and I'm just going to bring up an aside. A lot of people seem to have a problem with the drug test. Like, if you can't stop smoking weed, maybe you shouldn't be trying to go into trucking. I'm just going to leave that out there, because even if you pass this drug test at orientation, which is a good chance you will, it's, you know, it's just a simple urine test. If you get into an accident when you're out here, they're going to take your blood, and if you pop positive for marijuana, you will be criminally charged. So I'm just going to drop that out there. It doesn't matter that it's legal. You're not supposed to, in the CDL world, participate in smoking marijuana. Listen, I'm not like some prude or whatever. I've smoked pot in my day, but I need this job more than I need to smoke pot. You know what I mean? So I'm just throwing that out there. If you can't get clean, just possibly this isn't for you. So after that, they give you a tablet, like a Samsung tablet, and you have to watch all these videos. There's a whole ton of them, like over 30 videos. And at the end, there's a short test on what you watched in the video. They supply you with answers. Not very hard. I wouldn't sweat that. While this is going on, and while everyone is finishing up their DOT physicals, this guy Sam will come get you and take you for a road test. The road test is very rudimentary. He just takes you out and drive around the streets just to see that you could drive a tractor trailer. You'd be surprised how many people have their CDL and just can't drive. Whatever, pretty easy. Then we got lunch. That was some fried chicken. Wasn't so bad, to be honest with you. And then more videos. And then that was the end of day one. They give you a meal to take back to your room. That was kind of gross, but whatever. Now you go back to your crappy room at the Days Inn. And at least in Richmond, when you're at the Days Inn, there's not a whole lot around there because it's like not a very good neighborhood. There's a McDonald's, there's a terrible Taco Bell right there. Now there's a highway right next to the hotel. If you're feeling like adventurous, you could run across the highway to the median, walk down the median, and right on the other side of the highway overpass is civilization. There's a Kroger there. There's restaurants there. There's shopping district there. There's all kinds of stuff there. So it's really just like a quarter of a mile just on the other side of that highway overpass. I did it a few times. It's all right. So the next day, you go into a classroom and you just basically handle all the stuff from Western Express, like as far as their policies, you know, no U-turns, you know, pre-trip and what to do if this happens or if that happens, and calling in an accident, and, you know, how to use the tablet, that kind of thing. Then, after that, you go out in the yard and you do some parking exercises, which I did really well in. Hold on to that because this will come in later. All right. That completes basically orientation. Now, you're going to see online people talking nonsense. And they're going to say that they're waiting for a trainer for over a week or 2 weeks. They're waiting for a trainer. The very next day, I went out with my trainer. Okay? So, I finished up orientation on Tuesday, and Wednesday I was out with my trainer. So, I go out with my trainer. Here's the situation. My trainer's 22 years old. I have kids older than my trainer. All right? He's only been driving for 9 months. Okay, good to go. So I go out with my trainer. He's a young kid. He drives like a young kid. He drives like a 22-year-old kid. From Jump Street, I realized that this wasn't about training me. That this was just strictly about his DM using me as team driving. So from the very first day, I had to drive out my 11, and we were doing crazy stuff, like picking up in Georgia, driving up to Chicago, dumping, picking up another load, driving down to Orlando, Florida, the next day, for the next day. So I drove my 11, then he drove his 11. We were driving 24 hours straight. I was supposed to sleep in the top bunk. I couldn't sleep in the top bunk. Dude is driving like a maniac. I'm like getting all banged around. I was tired, man. I was tired. I never knew what was going on. So there's that. I didn't know how long training lasted for. I know that we were so my trainer was cool. Don't get me wrong. He cared about my well-being. He made sure I had a shower. He always made sure I was eating. He made sure I had, when he went home one weekend, he made sure that I got a room from the company and I didn't pay for it. And of course, once again, Western put me up in a terrible hotel, a Red Roof Inn in Portsmouth, Virginia, where people were fighting in the parking lot like just like insane shit was going on. So, where was I? But as far as everything else, I really was just like learning as I was going. Parking. So at one point we were parking, and I had said to my trainer, after 20 minutes of him trying to make me do this weird thing I'd never done before, and I just couldn't do it his way, I said, why don't you just let me do this, like do a 90? And he goes, I never learned how to do a 90. Okay, so you're supposed to train me, but you don't know how to do a 90. So I was doing 90s. And you know what? Whatever. Backing, you get that as you go. And you're going to do a lot of it, so you'll get good at it quick. Then, without even really knowing what's going on, one day we were heading to do a load, and he stopped at the yard at the terminal, and he dropped me off. And that was it. That was the end of my training. Now, once again, you're going to hear people online. They're going to talk, I'm waiting a month for a truck. Okay, I came in on a Friday. I got picked up by some family in the Richmond area, and I went to their house, and we did some stuff on the weekend, and I came back Sunday night, Monday. So Monday, I waited. I checked in to make sure, to see what was going on. Tuesday, I had a truck. Now, my truck was broken. I went to pick it up. There was some stuff broken. It had to go back into the shop. I slept in my truck that night in the terminal parking lot because I would rather sleep in a sleeper than sleep in the Days Inn. And I got paid breakdown pay. The truck got fixed, and I've been out ever since. And that's pretty much it. That is my orientation and training experience. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people talking a lot of stuff, and there's going to be a lot of people hanging out at that Days Inn, and they're going to have a lot of stuff to say. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't listen to a word anyone who's staying at that Days Inn tells you. Everyone's circumstance is different, and there's a lot of people with a lot of problems at Western Express. And the people who complain are usually the people who are screwed up in some way. So, just show up, do what you're supposed to do, research stuff online. Oh, and another thing. Before you come to Western Express, do your research on OTR. Learn what OTR is about, and get the idea out of your head that you're going to go home every weekend, because you're not. Okay? So if your recruiter told you that, that's not true. You won't go home every weekend. Ask to go home when it's important. kid's graduation, a communion, a birthday party, an anniversary, stuff like that. Don't think you're going home every weekend, because you're not going to go home every weekend. I'm just laying it out there. OTR is not for you if you have to be home every weekend. You're going to be out 3 weeks at a clip, and then maybe you'll get a home load. That's just me telling you how it is. I got lucky and got home for Christmas only because I picked up a load in Columbus, Ohio, and it was going to Connecticut, passing through Jersey, and I picked it up on a Friday, and Christmas Eve was on Sunday, Christmas was on Monday, and I had to drop it on Tuesday. I asked my DM, since I'm cutting through Jersey, can I stop and see my kids? He said yes. Just coincidentally, if that load had been going to Georgia, I wasn't going home for Christmas. Just laying it out there. So I hope this video helps you. If you decide to come to Western Express, welcome aboard. Maybe I'll see you. I don't know. But if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so when I drop another video, you get a notification. Once again, this is Good Guy Glenn. Thanks for watching.